Hello, so as usual, it's a Sunday stream, but just obviously bear in mind I've been at work all day today and I'm actually feeling quite tired, but sometimes when you're doing these streams, you're feeling a bit more awake when you start chatting with people. So hopefully that'll happen now, but just wait for people to join. Hopefully it sends a notification out. Hello, Potato Farmer. So obviously I sent a notification out. Hello. So hello to everybody joining. No theme for this stream. I want to do a theme stream in the week, sort of talking about alternative history sort of stuff. But not on tonight's stream. Tonight's stream, because as I said, I'm not all out awake because obviously I've been at work all day and it was a busy day at work. It's just going to be a general chit chat stream. So hello to everybody. I'll show you what Bart got me for my birthday. My birthday isn't until the 23rd, but there was some books we spotted when we were at work. Where they have like a Works near where we work. The Works, if you don't know, is like a discount bookshop in the UK. So he got me these two books. So the price tags are still on there because, as you can see, they were quite cheap actually. Stuck on was only £6. But Heinz manuals, one on Wehrmacht sort of infantry, German World War II infantry, and Sturzkampfflugzeug, like all the Stuckers. So should be good because I really like non-fiction books like this. Does anybody know? I'm assuming they probably have done. Have they done like ones for other World War II and like Cold War armies in this sort of series? Because I definitely probably get the series of these if they've done that. Do I have TikTok? I don't, if you're asking me. But obviously this is like one where it shows all like the field equipment and everything. Oh, that's good, Richard. I'm really pleased about that for you because obviously that's good if you can actually shoot the longbow properly. But yeah, all like the field guns and all that sort of stuff. Oh, they do a Cold War one. That's cool. Right, I'll have to look into getting that at some point. But as I said, Stucker one's quite interesting as well. Obviously, I haven't really looked too much at any of these yet because he only got me today. But well, America had the M17 and XM28 during the Vietnam War. The M9 was probably used as well, I imagine, as well as they had like different tank crew masks. Vietnam had quite a lot of masks given to them essentially by some of the other communist allies. So you see them with like the NVA and like the Viet Cong with a lot of Chinese and like Soviet masks in pictures. America used Agent Orange and tear gas in the war, and obviously Agent Orange is a really nasty kind of chemical weapon. Although technically they go, oh, it's not a weapon, it's a defoliant. But if you look at all the damage Agent Orange has done to both Americans and the Vietnamese since the war, it's been a pretty horrible thing. All right, I'm glad you like it, Gage. But yeah, so yeah, gas masks were used, but they weren't actually really used in the sense, to protect from stuff like Agent Orange. It will be a US M9 or an M9 copy, Ian. So it could be the M9, M9A1, Finnish M61 series, Yugoslavian M1, also known as the M59. I think was it either Sweden or Norway had the M51, which was their version. And I think there's some other countries that had M9 copies as well. Now, Agent Orange is a defoliant, so what they intended it to do was you would spray it over the jungle and it would basically kill the trees, so you could spot if people were hiding in the jungle. The issue was it caused all sorts of horrible cancers and birth defects later down the line. So it wasn't intended as a chemical weapon, well, apparently. But it was basically a chemical that, it's okay to use because we're not using it against people. It's to take stuff off trees. But what Agent Orange obviously actually did was just cause genetic damage. I have no idea what you're on about, Riley. Hope you get on all right with it, Richard. Definitely do some videos on it. Yeah, it didn't rain at all where we were. It rained all overnight, but annoyingly, work was really busy today, even though generally if it's not raining, it's not as busy, but today was just really, really busy at work. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. I'll just say that now because looking on it, it says 33 people watching at the moment, 13 likes, and generally the more people like, the more YouTube seems to share it. Tell you what, let me put this light on. That'll illuminate it a bit better. And I'll also say at the beginning, because I always forget to say this, if you want to support the channel, you can buy merch from the Teespring link below, like the hoodies or mugs or whatever, and I get a bit of money towards that. Or you can support me via Super Chat on the side or Patreon below. And obviously all that money goes towards like stuff in the videos and that. Yes and no, email. It depends, because you don't necessarily even die instantly be a nuke. Obviously, if you're in the blast radius of nuke, you would die instantly. But the thing is with nuclear weapons is obviously there's radiation and genetic damage done by them. If you you sort of get hit by the rays of it, but not in the lethal blast radius, because obviously when a nuke goes off at the speed of light, X-rays and gamma rays and everything shoot off from it. Nuclear weapons can irradiate areas for a massively long time, depending on the type of nuclear weapon, if it was ground burst. So nuclear weapons are scary. I don't think any of these things are nice. It's, again, biological and chemical weapons. It really would depend on the agent, I think. Hydrogen bombs are radioactive, yeah, because hydrogen bombs are just fusion bombs, not fission. Like atomic bombs are fission bombs. Hydrogen bombs are fusion. But generally, again, it depends how the bomb is. Depends on what nuclear material is used in the bomb, how it's detonated, where it's detonated. For example, if you have an airburst, it's generally not very radioactive. You get the radiation that shoots off when the bomb is initially detonated. Because the bomb explodes in the air, not much is contaminated. When you have an underground burst or a ground burst, the ground is pulled into the essentially like the mushroom cloud, and all of the dust is radiated, creating fallout. You always get radiation with all nuclear weapons, but a ground burst is so much massively more radioactive. You might be able to get even £100 for that potato farmer if it was all of that. Yeah, I'm in the UK. Well, funnily enough, I maybe you missed it at the beginning, Celtic Productions, but I was saying Bart got me those for my birthday, which is coming up this month. So yeah, I like reading. It's one of those things, annoyingly, sometimes I don't, find time to read even though I want to. But sometimes if I start reading a book I really enjoy, I'll struggle to put it down, and end up reading it quite quickly. I mean, yeah, dirty bomb, though, can mean a couple of things. Like cobalt, yeah, like a salted cobalt bomb is kind of the idea that it's a bomb purely designed to put as much radioactive contamination into the air or the environment as possible. A dirty bomb in general can just mean sort of a bomb using nuclear material, but not once creating fission or fusion. So, for example, if you got loads and loads of radioactive material, and you had a conventional explosive detonate, the idea is that it spreads radioactive contamination. That would be a dirty bomb, in a sense, if that makes sense. I mean, yeah, you're right, cobalt bombs are dirty bombs, but generally when people say dirty bombs, I think they generally refer to sort of improvised explosives using, nuclear material to spread radiation, not as actually part of the explosion process. The C50 is the M50 and 40mm. I probably prefer it to the regular M50, but I've only got the M50, but I like the M50. Yeah, I've seen the British ones, Big Macs, where they're the ones with like the pump on the side, where you'd have to keep pumping the air in for the baby. Lead shielding, long no, or lots and lots of concrete. But in terms of what a person could wear and be effectively shielded, you can't. I mean, you see what the Chernobyl liquidators did, where they were wearing bits of lead, like strapped to them. That would protect you to a degree, but if it's a strong enough source of gamma radiation, you can't physically carry the weight of the lead to protect you. So yeah, that's why, in theory, a nuclear fallout shelter or a bunker is far enough underground with enough material between it and the outside sources that the gamma rays can't penetrate through far enough. There's some quite interesting sort of videos and pictures you can find which show different things and, you know, how much of a gamma ray can penetrate them. But again, a lot of it's theoretical, I suppose, because as much as we understand the science of it, or, you know, people who are actually trained in science, not me, understand the science of it, thankfully a lot of this stuff has never come to pass to a big enough degree that, you know, if that makes sense. Oh, that sounds cool, Bartos. Yeah, hopefully you get a chance to buy it. An interesting thing that's kind of interesting and funny. At Dover Castle in the UK, they have these World War II sort of bunker complexes they built into the cliffs. And there is a never opened nuclear bunker under there. I think they're hopefully meant to be restoring and opening to the public. What happened was they built this nuclear bunker, and then they found out that the chalk in the cliffs is not good enough for stopping gamma radiation. So in theory, they built this nuclear fallout shelter, kind of big governmental bunker under the cliff. And then if a nuclear war happened, you'd still get horribly irradiated in there anyway. Would completely depend on the person, lol, no. But I really like the Avon CT12. But again, comfortable, it will depend on the shape of your face, you know, what kind of mask you like. If you're allergic to a certain kind of rubber or whatever, then you wouldn't want a mask made out of that rubber. That's cool, Ashen. What do you mean, depressed manatee? Like Russian bombs or Russia the country? Because that's a bit of a nasty thing to say, isn't it? What's worse, Russia or gas? But mustard gas in a sense because of what it does to the body. No, I've not actually heard of that, Bartos. So was that like the French Marginal Line, but a smaller one? So what do you mean by Russian bombs? Because Russia has lots of different bombs, just like lots of countries have lots of different bombs. Tsar bomb. Well, Tsar bomb was the biggest nuclear bomb ever created, and they theoretically could have made the 100 megaton version. But it depends, doesn't it? I mean, Tsar bomb would do more damage to the planet from a single bomb. But again, like we were saying earlier, if you were mustard gassed and lived for a brief period afterwards, it would probably be worse than being instantly evaporated by a nuclear bomb. Well, lewisite is nastier than mustard, especially because you can die later on from like kidney failure, can't you, from lewisite? But again, you know, it's like saying, what would you rather die of, isn't it? Arsenic or cyanide? Yeah, I already said about that to you, Bartos. I said, oh, that's good. I hope you managed to buy it. Yeah, I saw a bit about that, but again, China's had, you know, nuclear sort of capabilities there, a nuclear superpower for a while. So again, the thing is, any sort of nuclear power can develop faster missiles, you know, higher yield bombs, you know, better accuracy missiles, MIRVs with more warheads on them. But, you know, if a nuclear war properly kicked off involving all the superpowers, it's game over regardless. So rainy, cold, well, not cold, like damp cold. Well, not when opened and submerged underwater, no. I mean, a Brita filter technically filters water, doesn't it? If you mean a gas mask filter, no, not when it's open. All right, Laser. Most interesting battle from World War One. To be honest, probably some of the naval stuff or the stuff that happened early on in the war before the trench warfare broke out, because obviously World War One was a lot more mobile before trench warfare. Ended up sort of stalemating it. But obviously the issue was that once it got to the trench warfare stage, it was pretty much just men sitting in trenches, going over the top, being machine gunned, being killed by artillery and disease. Well, what's Spooktober? Like doing an October thing? I normally do a Halloween special each year. Well, in theory, if you got a small size MP4, I guess so. But the easiest way is just measure your head, because as I said, there's charts that tell you what size masks you need. Yeah, so saying something like Jutland, I think, is just a lot more interesting than, stuff like guys in trenches. Because World War One, not much essentially happened until attrition eventually forced the German surrender. Yeah, but Halloween's not really a big thing over here. Well, the American Mickey Mouse gas mask is one of the rarest masks in the world, so no, you're not going to get one. I'd say Spider-Man, Rodriguez, as much as I'm not into comics, just because Spider-Man actually has superpowers, Batman doesn't. I wouldn't rehash the same video again, Potato Farmer, but if I can think of something funny like that, I might do it. Yeah, I'm getting on quite well, Richard. The problem is at the moment, I was saying this on Mike's stream yesterday, but you might have gone to bed by this point. I've been totally off of codeine now 4 or 5 days, I think, and I was weaning myself off for a couple of weeks because basically, where I switched to Nefapam, that's much better to be on long term than opioid painkillers. But the problem is, obviously, once you go from being on opioid painkillers daily to not being on them at all, your body will have a lot of withdrawal symptoms. I'm getting through it. It's just, in a week or two's time, that'll be, I'll be totally free of that. But yeah, I'm getting on really well with Nefapam, thanks. But so yeah, my quality of life's been a lot better recently. But as I said, the struggle at the moment is, just getting my body or brain chemistry, whatever you want to call it, back to normal after changing from one kind of painkiller to another. Play paintball. I've not really done paintball very often because, again, the issue is near me, there's not too many places that do paintball. Just like the airsoft problem. The place where I've been airsofting before also do paintball, but a lot of the time it's on certain Sundays at certain times of the month. So shell shock is just another name for sort of post-traumatic stress. It had lots of different names in different wars and periods of history, but generally, yes, traumatic events, especially in war, can cause mental health problems. Don't spam the chat, please. I've got ulcerative colitis email, which is, I'm trying to think of an easy way of explaining. It's basically an autoimmune disease where one day out of the blue, your immune system goes wrong and it will never go back to normal unless they somehow magically find a cure for it. What happens is your immune system just decides to start attacking your own body. And ulcerative colitis is where it attacks your colon. So basically it causes the colon to start ulcerating, and if you weren't on medicine for it, it would eventually kill you because it causes the colon to rupture. So basically your body is constantly being attacked by itself, so you need painkillers as well as control medication, because otherwise, Oh yeah, mostly cloudy. We're an island in the Atlantic, so yeah, lots of clouds coming in from the sea. I said I'm all right at the moment, as I said, because I'm sorting out, different medication. But something beeped on my phone. It wasn't anything interesting. Right, let me tell you what. I'll just put airplane mode on. I always mean to do that before I start a stream. I never do. It's just because generally somebody will always send me a message or I'll get an alert on something. 5 or so years, Alex. I'm trying to remember exactly when I got it, but the problem is with stuff like that is you're not going to be instantly diagnosed with it. So there's a lot of going back and forth to the doctors with symptoms before you get diagnosed. So I had it for like nearly a year, or might have been over a year, I think, before I eventually got my diagnosis. And the hospital was really annoyed about that because they said, if it was something, if your colitis was more serious, or if it was something else, you could be dead. Spam's just corned beef, though, isn't it? You can get other brands other than Spam, but it's one of those things. I think if you cook it properly and all this sort of stuff, it can taste all right. If you're just eating it out the can, it's a bit bland, but if you had to eat it to survive, Yeah, you should be able to work that out. What do a lot of channels with a number and a name mean? Depends which N word that is, long no, but if it's a certain one, yes, you will get banned. I've got a Discord. It's for patrons only. Yeah, Maxim's got it. But weirdly, loads of people can't figure it out, which I find very strange when you always see loads of channels with a year in the username. What's that? Big nachos. That's cool. But yeah, one of the problems with ulcerative colitis is there's a lot of medication you can't be given because it can make it worse, or it can essentially kill you. So the problem I have with UC is there's not many painkiller options available. So you've got a condition that causes you constant chronic pain, but there's not many painkillers available. So that's why I'm on nefapam hydrochloride. Let me show you what that is. I've got some in my drawer. So nefapam hydrochloride. Let me just get this out. And so this is nefapam hydrochloride. It's 30 mg of nefapam, although it will depend where you read this, is meant to be equivalent in strength, like analgesic strength, which is painkilling strength, something like 12 to 20 mg of morphine, I believe. So it's incredibly potent as a painkiller, but it's not actually an opioid. So in theory, the body won't develop a tolerance to it. But the thing is with nefapam is I was trialed on this a while ago, and it made me feel really ill. But what they didn't tell me back then, which I sort of since read, and this is why I'm now getting on with it, is it's one of those medications where if you put up with the really nasty side effects for a couple of days, it then works really well. Whereas, it's like the opposite of an opioid, where an opioid painkiller is incredibly effective for short-term use, but the longer you're on them, the more the addiction risk goes up, the less effective they become, and the body starts boosting the pain signals, which actually makes it worse overall. I have no idea what you mean, sick dog. Yeah, nefapam doesn't actually... Well, for me, it doesn't make me drowsy. It says, like a warning, if it makes you drowsy, don't drive. For a lot of people, though, it actually works more like a stimulant, so it increases the heart rate and blood pressure slightly. It's one of those painkillers they don't really know how it works. They just know it blocks pain. Yeah, maybe I should put the word Russian in more things, Laser. No, I do not speak Russian. But if you want to see a big leaflet with nefapam, there you go. Let's see. The name of your medicine is nefapam hydrochloride, 30 mg film-coated tablets, referred to as nefapam throughout this leaflet. Nefapam belongs to a group of painkillers, belongs to a group of medicines called analgesics, commonly known as painkillers or pain relievers, yeah. The active substance nefapam hydrochloride interrupts the pain messages being sent to your brain, and it also acts in your brain to stop pain messages being felt. This means that nefapam does not stop the pain from happening, but you will not be able to feel the pain as much. Nefapam is used to relieve acute and chronic pain, for example, pain after an operation, dental pain, joint and muscle pain, after an injury, or pain caused by cancer. Nefapam should not be used to treat the pain from a heart attack. Again, I think because it speeds the heart rate up. You can't take nefapam if you are taking monoamine oxidase inhibitors, which is a type of antidepressant. If you've ever had epilepsy, which I don't actually understand why, because apparently nefapam is an anticonvulsant, but maybe it messes with epilepsy medicine. Does it have the side effects on here? Because then, like, possible side effects. Okay. So this is the more interesting bit. I'll go back to the chat in a minute, because this is where I probably actually had some of these. Because lots of medicines, you can have them. There's a massive side effects bit, and you like never get any of them. Nefepam is the one where in the first couple of days you'll get loads of these side effects. If you or somebody then you know taking this medicine experience any of the following side effects, stop immediately medicine and contact your doctor immediately. Swelling of the skin and soft tissues around the eyes, nose, and throat, difficulty breathing, didn't have that. Allergic reaction like hive, itchy red spots on the skin, itching, nasal congestion, rash, watery or itchy eyes, coughing, fainting, dizziness, convulsion, or weakness. It definitely caused me dizziness and stuff like that. Convulsion, coma. I obviously didn't have a convulsion or coma on it. Other side effects. Not known, frequently, cannot be estimated from the available data, so whatever that means. Feeling sick, nausea, yeah. Feeling lightheaded, dizzy, nervousness, or fainting. A decrease in blood pressure. Numbness or tingling in extremities, yeah, had that. Dry mouth, yep, definitely gives you that. Having difficulty passing urine, yep. That goes away after a couple of days. I'll get, wow, tremor. I assume that's where you get shakes. It's not done that to me. Confusion, don't think it's done that. Hallucinations, seeing things that are not there. I haven't had any cool hallucinations on it, but you do get a bit of almost like static in your vision now and again from it. Being sick, again, like that's kind of related to nausea. Abdominal pain or diarrhea, well, it's used for me to treat abdominal pain. Blurred vision, again, as I said. Drowsiness, again, that's a bit like nausea, isn't it? Sweating, yep, it makes you sweat like a motherfucker. It basically feels like you're wearing like 10 jumpers when you're on Nefepam, which from trouble sleeping, yep, definitely doing that. Headaches, no, it definitely doesn't give me headaches. It cures them, if anything. Awareness of your heartbeat, yeah, it does that. But again, that's why I originally came off of it when they tried me on it, but I wanted to go back on, so I wanted to get off the opioids, and I'm glad I did. But so yeah, this is the reason it's not actually used much as a painkiller, which is quite interesting, because if you don't know about this, there's quite an interesting thing in like most of the West at the moment, where they're certainly worried about the overprescription of opioid painkillers, because you know how dangerous opioid addiction can be and everything like that. And as I was saying before, opioids are very useful if used to treat short-term pain, but for long-term pain they make it worse. And one of the big issues is they don't have many alternative painkillers that are high in strength compared to opioids. Nefepam actually is one, but not many people seem to know about it. And a lot of people don't think it's worth using because of all the side effects. Yeah, like I said, Laser, the first time I used it, I definitely stopped using it just because I said to the doctor, you know, it's making me feel really weird and all that. But now, in hindsight, it's worth, you know, like I said, it's the opposite of an opioid. You have a few days on it where it makes you feel really ill, and then you get through it because your body gets used to it. Whereas with an opioid, you feel amazing for the first couple of days, your pain's gone, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. Legal in the UK, Benjamin. Yeah, he was on one of the streams the other day, Gamer, chatting with people. Yak pistols, not really, because I'd be more interested in getting like airgun replicas and things like that, just because you can do more with them and they're generally cheaper. But again, if I looked on something like D&B Militaria and there was something for a decent price that looked cool, I might get one. But yeah, again, I think it depends on the person, doesn't it, Laser? Because the thing is, if you didn't have something like ulcerative colitis, you probably can safely be given NSAID painkillers. You can't be given those with UC. I mean, NSAIDs can have a lot of health problem, like consequences and problems for people with completely healthy stomachs. But the problem, I think, in general, where they keep saying, "Oh, my doctor's prescribing opioids," there just aren't enough painkiller alternatives. So yeah, this is somehow this stream gone on to talking about painkillers. I don't know why, but there you go. No, I've looked at some others, but it's just whenever I've seen stuff, D&B have been at a good price, and they've got a site that's actually easy to navigate. The annoying thing on some of the gun sites is it's like they've built them on a Yahoo GeoCities kind of thing, you know, where it's just a horrible, clunky website. Tramadol is an opioid, Rodriguez. So again, it'll work well for the first couple of days. the longer you're on it, the less and less effective it will get. You have all the addiction risks. Alright, I'm timing you out now, Stephanie. You keep spamming the chat with random things. I'll ban you. I've got a Lee Enfield on my wall up there, but never actually shot one. Well, CBD is exactly that, but cannabis without the effects, because it's got no THC in it, it's just CBD. But in theory, I think they are trying to develop THC-based medication that doesn't get you high. We have some very weird one, Bartos, that if you tried to do it, you would probably get arrested. But there's one that says you can shoot a Scotsman or something with a bow, isn't there, in a certain city on a certain day, which was a thing to do with when England was at war with Scotland and was never, like repealed. Although again, if you did that, you would obviously be done for murder. I think there's quite a few weird old medieval laws we still have, but again, what meal ready to eat? Not really got any interest in them in the sense of paying a load of money for 3,000 calories worth of food. Next big project, don't really know. Just doing YouTube videos. That's called Depressed Mantonay. Hope you like it. Manatee, sorry. They're really comfy, these, actually. They are nice hoodies. The good thing of the Teespring stuff is it does seem to actually be decent quality merch. It's not like, like paper thin stuff. They've, don't know, I suppose that's why YouTube probably partnered with them, because they, knew it was an alright brand to go with or whatever. I've got SS Leto, if that's the one you mean. Like the green and yellow kind of brown camo. I already answered you, Gamer Energy, so you don't need to keep asking the question. No, I do not know LBRM films. I know Red Letter Media, but not know them as in know them, but I subscribe to them on YouTube. If it worked for me, yes. The thing is, though, if you had something like that and it would get you high and you wouldn't be able to drive and do anything like that, no, because that's the problem with a lot of, sort of things with painkillers. That if it has so many side effects, it stops you doing lots of other things. There's no point, is there? So only if they developed a version, I guess, that wouldn't get you high. Just because if you could take it and it worked effectively as a painkiller with very few side effects. Shall I bill them, Richard? That'd be good, wouldn't it? Say to the government, you need to pay for 24 arrows. It's particulate and vapor bits, a useless vapor filter. It's one of those Chinese half face masks that's awful. Weirdly, the mask itself is all right quality. The straps are crap, but like the thing makes a decent enough face seal. The issue is they're very basic particulate filters, and they're so small they don't really block any vapor coming through. We just literally went over that, Just Ink. No, never was in the cadets. Thanks for the detail, Peach. I've watched a few of the Joe Rogan things, but I don't like subscribe or regularly watch him. But when he's got somebody on that I find their views quite interesting. I don't actually have people trolling with memes on here very often, unless you mean the people just spamming F in chat. That's probably little kids. In terms of making war short films, I kind of prefer doing just history-related content, not sort of, fantasy content, if that makes sense. Not off the top of my head, I can look it up. Danish M23. That's an interesting shape. It kind of reminds me a bit of the East German one. Yeah, some of the interwar helmets are pretty interesting, aren't they? Because, yeah, there was a few nations that came up with some quite cool designs into war, but then a lot of them just kind of turned into regular steel pots by World War II. Well, I think with the size of the universe, Rodriguez, aliens must be out there somewhere. Well, Honeywell's an alright brand because they do helicopter rotors, but I don't know about their masks because obviously they're famous for kind of making fans and engines. If it's a 40mm one, I'm just looking it up because it looks like they do a proprietary one and a 40mm one. 40mm one looks fine. The straps look decent enough quality. You know, it looks like a good enough rubber. Without seeing it, you know, I don't know. There might be some horrible flaw with it, but I assume it'd be fine. Like I said, Honeywell, you know, makes, as far as I'm aware, a good sort of helicopter and engines and desk fans and things like that. So, eBay, Egg Rover. No, I might get a Zippo hand warmer at some point, Peach, and do a video on that. Alright, that's good to know, Chris. Like I said, I assume their stuff would have been alright, because I know their stuff's considered quite good in terms of like fans and helicopter engines and whatever they do like that. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had any Honeywell stuff. Defense tool, well, would a stab vest count as that? Because like a stab vest would actually give you quite a lot of protection. I'm more of a dog person, not so midnight. But I don't mind cats either. Oh, that's interesting, Peach. I'd rather not get too involved in the politics of the Hong Kong protests / riots. Like I said, just because I don't really like getting into current politics on here because it just annoys people, alienates people, starts arguments. Violence on both sides is wrong, I guess, is a good answer to that. Yeah, the only thing is during the day Iron Man, they're obviously not as effective as the light source, but again, something like a mag light is still going to act as a truncheon. I've been to quite a few places in Poland and like Hungary and stuff like that, and obviously I've been to some of the ones in the UK. Considering we've got things like, you know, there's like the town battle and all those. So yeah, but obviously I've been to Warsaw, and the Warsaw Uprising was in Warsaw. But I've not been to the Somme period. I've been to Normandy and everything. I'll search it. All right, I'll open a thing. So it's a World War II thing, is it? Right, I've got that open. I'll try and remember to read it after the stream, but I've not got time, I'm afraid, when I'm chatting with people to read a big thing now. They should be better. The M10, as far as I'm aware, was just the S10 they made for civilians, wasn't it? That I think didn't have a drinking tube in it. I think originally the M10s were made around the time of the Gulf War, and the idea was to give them to British citizens overseas, where they wouldn't give them the full military S10. I know that clock's slightly slow, but it's not it's my radio clock's that one there, but you can't see it. Oh, what is that? The like the Mark III, Mark IV, or Mark V helmet, Chris, with the actual riot visor on it. Darth Plagueis the Wise, not from a Jedi. Yeah, I've done videos with Mike. Yeah, the thing is with the news, I think it's important, obviously, you keep up to date and informed on things. But yeah, I would agree that a lot of news is scaremongering, like clickbait stuff. Well, my favourite gas mask is still the Avon CT12, even though it's been asked 3 times in this stream already. Maxim tells you the wrong mask. Well, FM12 and CT12 are the same series, but yeah, going back to the thing, the M10, as far as I'm aware, should be fully CBRN rated because it's just literally an S10 Velta drinking tube, as far as I'm aware. Well, no reason for me not to, Iron Man, because I've got so many. I find that sort of stuff interesting. Guess you didn't see me holding this up earlier in the stream. Does actually say Sturs Camp Flugzeug. It doesn't actually say that on the front, but yeah. I wonder how long in it says before Sturs Camp Flugzeug. Because German. Oh yeah, it's the word Sturs Camp Flugzeug is literally that. Oh no, swastikas, the instant demonetized. Generic German term for dive bomber, but technically Sturs Camp Flugzeug would mean dive attack aeroplane or dive attack flying thing, wouldn't it? If you literally break down the German word. Does that mean the Reich Eagle thing? Yeah, all of them do. The GM38s had once worn off, but all my other German masks, you can still see it. MM1B is fine. There's one there. MM1A and MM1B. The only difference the strap system, isn't it? But yeah, perfectly good mask as long, again, if it's in good condition. Right, I'm just going to warn you, Rodriguez, that when people say that, I generally just want to block them because there is not a bug in the room. And I know you're trying to get me to look behind me going, oh, there's a spider. I've got some of the old-fashioned walkie-talkies, and I've got that kind of quite good Bofang radio, whatever it's called, but I'm not really taking the time to learn how to use that properly. That's interesting, Chris. Yeah, sounds quite cool. Yeah, it should be fine, Bear. But yeah, as I said, as far as I'm aware, originally I think the purpose of the N10 was just a civilian version of the S10. But the police use the FM12 as far as I'm aware most of the time as CT12. I don't drink much at all, to be honest, because again, a lot of the medication I'm on it can interfere with it. Yeah, cheers, Laser. But yeah, I think a lot of that is just I thought if I'm going to have it as a background, I might as well actually go to the effort of trying to organise it a bit more. That's why I ended up just putting up more shelves and things like that. So rather than it being a random clutter of shit, it's like more civil defence themed kind of stuff with gas mask posters and all that sort of stuff. In theory, it's a good thing, Iron Man. Again, how good some of the technology is in some of these would vary, but I know some people are saying that you can get some quite good ones for like charging your phone while you're out and about, and they obviously work because your phone will charge up. Yeah, it's an interesting thing with stuff like that, Chris, isn't it? Because if you restore something too much, are you kind of taking away from its actual history? Again, I don't think there's really a good answer for that. Yeah. When's that coming out, Richard? I've not got a PS4, so it doesn't really matter, but is it like another remake? Because they did Medieval Resurrection, didn't they, on the PSP, which is a remake of Medieval 1. So I'm assuming that this is another remake again. But annoyingly, as I said, I've not got a PS4, but I do like Medieval 1 and Medieval 2. The soundtrack to Medieval Resurrection is really good because they got the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra to do all of the stuff. I always get the Hilltop Mausoleum stuck in my head. Yeah, I've got the CT12. The thing is, though, I was just lucky when I got my CT12 that somebody was just selling it for 30 quid. They just didn't care, basically. Preferred body armor dealer? No, I go on eBay and look for something that's well priced. Whether it be mil-cert body armor or police body armor or whatever. Well, as I've said over and over again with the airsoft thing, like I said earlier in the stream, the thing is with airsoft is that in my local area, there is not a place. If I drive about 30 odd miles out, there's an airsoft site. They only do like one game a month on a Sunday. Sometimes that will be cancelled due to weather, and I also work Sundays. So unfortunately for me, it is not convenient for me to play airsoft, really. I've got a decent AEG actually, which is the Cyma Colt M4. It's actually a licensed Colt one, although it's a V2 gearbox, which is a bit shit. But the gun itself is fine as long as the gearbox bits don't come apart randomly, and then you have to try and rig it back together. But sadly, because of the UCARA stuff, that's why I never really got into it. Because if I could buy an airsoft gun I really wanted from the get-go, then I'd be a lot more interested in getting into airsoft. But the idea that you have to kind of buy a gun that you don't really want, unless you want to spend loads of money renting a gun, to get enough things for the UCARA thing, so you can then get the gun you actually want to get, is just quite annoying. No idea, PC Dragon, because I don't live in London, and not many brick and mortar surplus stores exist anymore. No, I don't transport and stuff. The exact email I'm not going to say. All right, sorry, Rodriguez, but you're being a prick, aren't you, on purpose? I gave you plenty of warnings, but there's a bug behind you. Are you an arms dealer? No. 177 or 22. If it was target shooting, 177. If it was for general plinking, pest control, and everything, 22 or 22, whatever you want to call it. Personally, I just prefer 22 all round, I'd think, just because I find having a slightly larger pellet is easier to load, but 177 is actually cheaper as well for buying in bulk, so. All right, Sworn Bohemian. I've got quite a few spare glasses, Iron Man, because thankfully my eyesight hasn't changed much over the last 6 or so years. So although I've got a few different frames, the prescription sort of lenses in them are changed very slightly. So I'm kind of going longer and longer now without getting new glasses. So, but in theory, yeah, I've got backup glasses because any of my older glasses I can wear, and it's close enough to what these look like that it would work. Medical stuff, yeah, but again, like I've said before, because I'm chronically ill with a condition that you can't get long-term medication for, I don't. Depending on what you mean by shit in a fan, if you mean post-apocalyptic thing, there's just no fucking point because I'd be dead regardless. Well, Israel doesn't make the S10, but so you're asking about the S10 or Israeli like M15? I'd say just look on eBay and hope you find one for that price. Yeah, they're not cheap, are they, Rich? But what I meant is that I know when you look at brands, generally if they've got 500, say, 22s and 500 177s, the 177s are cheaper. It might only be like 50p a tin or whatever, but I know, in theory, if you were really considering the budget, it would be worth it to get a 177. Yes and no, email. It depends. With big frames like this, not so much. I'll notice if they steam up or I need to clean them. I'll notice if they're not quite right, because like I said, at the moment I can actually see on the webcam that, these do need a bit of a clean. But the thing is, because I've got like the quite good anti-glare coatings on and all that, it's not too bad with glasses. If you get really comfortable frames and whatever, you won't have much issue, because other than taking them off, because I take them off like in the morning, put them on in the morning, take them off at night for the most part. Because I'm short-sighted, but where my short-sightedness sort of comes in, I can use glasses like this without it becoming a hindrance. The problem for some people is if they're short-sighted at a certain whatever, I know 20/20 is a good vision, is it? Or like long-sighted at certain things, they have to constantly take their glasses off and on. I've got the I'm quite lucky in the sense that I can keep my glasses on all day because it just prevents me getting headaches and things like that. I think a lot of them over here, Laser, when I've looked, don't charge too much. They charge about £15 to the UK. But I certainly know a lot of Russian sellers want like £50 postage, which is fucking extortionate. Especially because I've bought things from some Russian sellers and Ukrainian sellers before, and they've done free postage or very cheap postage. So when somebody claims, oh no, a PMK2 gas mask will be like £50 plus another £50 postage. No. With literature, not as in fiction, but survival books obviously would be a good thing because a lot of them have interesting stuff in that you might forget that, keep you alive. Well, yeah, there's lots of things that have been totally cured, with modern medicine now that I think a lot of people will look over, especially the whole antibiotic kind of thing of, go back to before the 1940s. And there were certain infections you could get that would just outright kill you because we had no way of countering them. I have no idea, Evan, but if Chris is still on, he might know. Somebody else might know, but just Chris is probably the person I think would be. Search Soviet civil defense poster or civil defense poster on eBay. See if that particular one's for sale. Well, as I've said over and over again, Zeppelin, I'll do one now and again, but I don't particularly like doing politics streams just because. I've heard of that before, but I've not actually, or have I? Let me have a. Just give me a minute. I'll subscribe. It says he has 351k subs. He's obviously a good channel. Yeah, exactly. That's my point, is that you can buy masks from outside the EU, in Eastern Europe and Russia, and some sellers will give you free postage or cheap postage, and then some sellers claim it literally costs them, like $30 plus to send you a lightweight parcel. It does not. You can get free postage from lots of countries in the world, or very cheap postage, on a lot of things. So, especially when they're charging a lot for the item. Favorite airgun? Well, out of all the ones I've currently got, I've got a few airguns. I mean, the Red Rider I find the most fun. The BSA Hornet, or Gamma Hornet, is probably the best budget one. The best airgun I've shot might have been an Air Arms one, or a Beeman one, but I don't know the actual models. Definitely Spring. CO2 if you're getting like a blowback pistol for fun shooting. But in terms of longevity of it, Spring or gas ram, just because although it's slower to shoot, it's a lot cheaper to shoot, and it won't run out in the field. Nearest the right of the swords. What, the GP5M? The black one hanging up there, that's a GP5M. There's also a picture of it there, but it's like a grey-white one on that picture. See, there's a regular GP5 under the GP5 on that picture, and then the GP5M/PMG2 there on the picture. Nope. I have never fired whatever that is. Oh, you're on about, as I said, that's a cheap crap Chinese half face mask. The goggles like a separate thing that came with it. I would not recommend it. Yeah, that's a good point, Iron Man. That's the thing. Snares do a lot of the work for you, don't they, in traps? Because the whole point is that, that's a more intelligent way of doing it in a way, if you set traps and then you can check them later rather than have to constantly be out hunting. GP5M is a GP5 with ear holes and a voice diaphragm on. I think technically the smallest size of GP5M doesn't have ear holes. I think it's like the GP5. But the main difference is it has the voice diaphragm on it, so people can hear you when you speak. Yeah, definitely laser. The issue is at the moment finding ones I've not already done, or ones that aren't just a very, very small variation of ones I've already got. Because, again, if I saw that mask with a slightly different filter arrangement, there's not much point. But yeah, again, if I see more that like 3M copies or copies of other, like industrial respirator kind of things. Probably medication kind of things, just because, a lot of medication, I was saying before, has expiry dates where it really won't work beyond certain expiry dates, or limitations in how it has to be stored. Lots of medication can't be stored over 30 centigrade. Some even 25 centigrade, it starts going off quite quickly then, especially in the degree of, like it loses its potency or whatever it's actually meant to do. So I think a lot of people in a post-apocalyptic thing forget how, you know, much you rely on medications always being produced for certain illnesses, antibiotics and all that sort of thing. Yeah, Freds is very good, Chris. I mean, it's definitely worth watching the remastered version because they did a really good remaster of it recently where they fixed a lot of the color corrections and all that. But yeah, Freds is very, very good. Obviously, it's really bleak, but that's the point of it. But it was meant to be, you know, this is what's really going to happen to you in a nuclear war. You're not going to survive. If you survive, you're just going to die miserably later on. What's that then with the Kar 98? Is that like a replica one or like an airsoft one? Oh, like the custodian sort of hat. There's lots of things like Honey Iron Man that act as a mild antibiotic, but they're nowhere near as good as penicillin or anything like that. Well, of course I am TJ Nova, but you know I'm doing videos like that all the time. Yeah, definitely, Richard. As I said, Bart's dad, because he's into air guns, has a really nice air arms one. It's like got a really good flush underlever, you know, where it doesn't get in the way of your hand when it's stopped there. It's a really big, strong underlever. You know, it's not going to snap or come loose or anything. And again, it's you literally pull the underlever down. When the underlever is pulled down, you know, like it then opens up like a little bit of a breach where you can thumb the pellet in. It's got, you know, one of those nice pellet wells where you can thumb it in easily. You know, it's not a difficult job. And then, you know, put the lever back. It closes, you know, ready to go. Yeah. The thing is with it being banned, Chris, it's kind of strange because apparently it wasn't banned, but it was like the BBC put on a list of like things they can't show unless they get approval from the Director General or something, you know, like in like really sensitive media sort of things. But in terms of like you could buy it on VHS and all that, I don't think that was ever a problem. But yeah, I think the thing with Freds is it hits very close to home, which is the point of it. About, you know, if you have the politicians doing a Doctor Strangelove-esque, you know, nuclear war is winnable, it sort of shows it's not, especially for somewhere like the UK where it is such a close concentration of targets, especially for high yield nuclear weapons. In the UK, air rifle definitely, because we're allowed more powerful air rifles than air pistols. Yeah, let me see if I can work out. I'll be on for a few more minutes and then I'll go off. I keep saying off like Mike does, off at the moment. I've noticed he pronounces it like that, but I suppose he's quite close to me in Buckinghamshire. Air arms. I'll see if I can work out which particular gun it is. But if I was to get another air rifle, I might get one like that one. Air arms, underlever. It was one where it wasn't like an obvious underlever, because with some underlevers, they're quite big. It looks like this one, the Pro Sport. Let me get you a link to it. I'm pretty sure Bart's dad has this one. If not, it's like a very, very close model to this one. So yeah, it's an expensive air rifle, but it was very nice when, say, if you look at that underlever, you can tell it's a properly decently built one. It's got the nice high cheek rest as well. But again, for that price, I might end up going for the Weihrauch or whatever they're called, those really nice German ones, because they're a bit cheaper. But I guess the Weihrauch comparative underlever to that one might be really good. I definitely want to get another air rifle at some point, just because, as I said, the issue at the moment is like I said, my barrel's bent on the nitro venom, which is quite nice. The BSA Hornet I really like, but it's a very simple air gun. So I would at some point like a really, really well-made Springer. The thing is, for the cinema, man, I like going to the cinema if it's quite quiet, there's not like noisy kids in there or people chatting on the telephone, like their mobiles, and it's a good film. But there's very few films I'm ever motivated to go out and see, to be honest, at the cinema. Just because there's so many good like online streaming things now, and all that, where if it's a film I really want to see, yeah, I want a cinematic experience for it. But, with streaming, I just generally prefer to watch films chilling out at home with mates. Now, I keep wanting to do a Halloween costume, Chris, with making a traffic warden thing with the SLR and all that. But as in proper documentaries or like docudrama kind of films, Bartos, in terms of documentary series, there's The World at War and World War II in colour, which a lot of people like. In terms of like films, there's obviously the Battle of Britain. There's the bit in there of the Polish pilots going completely apeshit, shooting down all the German bombers when they get a chance to do it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of actual like good documentaries that might be one-off ones. But sounds good. Yeah, something about Canada, because the thing is with like Normandy is most people think of Omaha, don't they? Even though there was the Canadian British beaches as well as the probably ones of Australia and New Zealand as well, weren't there, in the landings? But everybody thinks of Omaha because it was essentially the bloodiest battle that America fought on the sort of thing. But there were other beaches. I do several part-time jobs, Tiny, which works out more than doing a full-time job. But yeah. Sadly, you can't really wear glasses under many masks. They might work under some escape hoods. They might work under things like the SR1 casualty mask. But in general, if a mask does up with straps and makes a peripheral see around your face, you'd need literally just this bit of the glasses, like the eyepiece frame bit, to be stuck in there to work. I kept thinking, could I find like a greatcoat that looked like the old traffic warden ones, and I was never able to find one in the army surplus shop before it closed. But yeah, put bloody bandages on your face. There's a thing with Charlie. There's a funny thing. I'll see if I can find this. Charlie Brooker wore a Fred's themed Halloween costume one year, and the newspapers didn't know what it was. They said he's strangely dressed as a traffic warden for Halloween. Let me see if I can find that. Charlie Brooker, Fred's traffic warden. Yeah, here we go. Here's where somebody's captioned it. I think this is the Daily Mail by the look of the text. It doesn't surprise me. It's seemingly an injured traffic warden. Yeah. They really don't get it, do they? At some point, Iron Man, a lot of people don't like those, but I might do one at one point. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's how it works. Cheers, Richard. Yeah, I'm gonna next time I visit Mike, I'm gonna take the katana down and a load of the other swords, like the saber and that, so we can get some proper cutting done with them. Because the issue I've had at the moment is I've not really had enough bottles or anything to cut up in the garden. So I've not really used those all that much, other than just showing them off in front of the camera. So yeah, I would certainly like to actually get some use in, because I think that katana actually seems bloody good. And as I said, watch the videos on it. I'm not getting it down now. I'm going off the stream like a minute. I don't celebrate Halloween now, other than doing like a Halloween video on YouTube. I find Halloween good for watching like horror movies and stuff like that. But in terms of do I go trick or treating and stuff like that, no. Previous years I've been to house parties I'd rather forget. Won't say more than that with to do Halloween. But no, let me look that up. Laser. I might have done actually. Oh wait, is this the Scott 40mm half face mask? If so, yes, I have seen that. But I don't think I've seen one for a good price. Because if I see one for a good price, I will definitely get one. Because I find the idea quite interesting of 40mm half face mask. But although I don't think there's pictures of it with the full size like ABP3 filters, aren't there? I don't think you'd ever want to do that, because I'm assuming the weight would be way too much for a half face mask. I used to, but sadly it's closed now. There used to be 2 army surplus stores that weren't too far away, and I think they're both closed now just because sadly there's not enough money in it anymore. Yeah, I think the one we looked at, though, the Chinese one, it looked like quite plasticky, didn't it? Like it would be too rigid. Because what I just want, if the Chinese want to make one, is, let me show you. It should be down here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. This one, all they need to do is do this one, but put a 40mm thread on it, because this one I really like. Because they could literally just do this, 40mm thread instead of the clip it's got for the filter there. It would be perfect for, like, you know, a half face mask kind of thing, because you could obviously put that on there. Probably should have done the neck bit first, shouldn't I? But, yeah, it's a lot harder if you're trying to do it this way around. If I can get it over the peg, because I wish they actually copied the exact 3M peg system on these. But yeah, there you go. So if they made this in 40mm, no, oh, it's actually all soft rubber. Oh, okay, I'll actually get one then, because I didn't realise that. I thought for some reason it looked like hard plastic. But yeah, basically, I just wish they'd do one that's like this, just exactly in 40mm, because I think that would work fine. You know, the valve assembly would still work on this. Ideally, I'd like them to do an exact copy of the 3M straps, but, you know, doesn't matter if they don't. But, you know, this, for a half face mask, that is literally as complicated as you need it, as long as it's made from a good rubber. And this is a good rubber, actually, on this one. The valves work fine. And said, you know, the only issue of this is you can't seem to... I've not found the equivalent, like, Western filter company thing it's compatible with. Because, like, the Chinese 3M clones, often, they work fine with actual 3M filters. So this is what I want to find out, is there a type of filter with this click-on fitting? Nerve agents can get, I mean, nerve agents will get you anywhere on your skin. There's lots of things, to be honest, that can cause eye damage and stuff like that. I think with a respirator, I'd always want one with eye protection as well. No, I don't have any landmines, weirdly enough. Ah, okay. Assuming that they don't think it's military secrets. Let me have a look on Amazon and see. You can get one for £28 on Amazon Prime. I'm tempted to do that then, Laser. Yeah, I'll probably do that after the stream. Yeah, I'll just get one on Amazon. The UK Amazon has them for like 20-odd quid. So, again, I'm not going to lose any money doing it that way. So, yeah, I'll just do that. And then, again, it's not the cheapest half-face mask, but I suppose for a brand new mask made by a company, you know, essentially a Western company, that's not a bad price, is it? Anyway, I'll go off now. Do I have any grenades? What are those? They're Deaxo. But yeah, good stream, everybody. Thank you for the donations, as always, Laser. This has been a good, enjoyable stream, and as you can tell, I'm a bit more awake than when I started it. There'll be a stream tomorrow. Not sure the exact time, though, because I'm out tomorrow evening, panto rehearsal. So I'm going to do a stream, but it might end up being like an early afternoon one, but I've got quite a lot of shit I need to get done tomorrow. So it might just be when I have to fit a stream in. And yeah, I watched all of Breaking Bad. So yeah, I've seen that. Anyway, I'll be off. See ya. And if Mike's on Twitch later, I might watch him if I'm still awake. All right, see ya.